we need to consider online concerts for survival.
Indeed.
But actually not partly for survival. One online concert is content that can bring people to your page and everything.
Yeah.
But besides that, you could use your numbers. Say you're Spice Diana. You have 100,000 Ugandans waiting to see your videos because I know she has 100,000 subscribers. Every time you have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, there are chances that you could easily hit 1K views in a day. And there are chances that you could easily hit 1 million views at least in a month.
Yeah.
So if you're a Spice Dan and you have some of your videos with over 1 million views, you have 100,000 subscribers, I think this could be the right time to use those numbers, like to pitch yourself to people that can actually give you money.
And it has worked for many in the US and all these other countries. They're making a killing off of this.
I know people usually accuse us of giving an example that's far away, but I will say an example that's nearby. It has worked in Nairobi, Kenya. And Sauti Sol has so far done about 4 virtual concerts. And some of them have been sponsored by companies like YouTube. Some of them have, I remember the very, very first one they did had literally every big company in Nairobi jumping on. There were banks.
Maybe we are going about this the wrong
company.
way, Andrew Kaggwa. Maybe our artists simply can't do live concerts. Maybe we are forcing them to do something they cannot do. Maybe they can't simply do the live concerts. You remember those days when before the pandemic? Before the pandemic, artists would stage concerts, but then it wouldn't be live. Some would put in a CD somewhere, and then they would just be miming on their own songs. Is this where we are? In that artists knew very well they couldn't do live concerts, and they were just scapegoating about the internet and so forth.
No, the truth is many artists cannot do live concerts. Many artists can't sing. Okay, right. It's not even about live concerts. Many of them can't sing. Many of them can't hold a note. But you need to look at their audience. Does their audience even mind? If their audience that doesn't mind, it means that audience will not mind them singing badly on an online concert. But the reason why they are not going this way is because of something I usually say. Our artists simply lack management to point them that direction. They simply lack a management to feed them with ideas and then go as far as trying to execute those ideas. For instance, I mean, if you're going to hold an online concert and you have a serious management, they will know that probably I will need to get a telecom company on board. I will need to get maybe a bank on board, but I will need to find a way of selling this whole thing into something they can buy into. I will still go back to Nairobi and I will tell you that even without online concerts, like you've seen currently, you know, it's called pay-per-view, is it pay-per-view?
Pay-per-view.
No, no, it's video on demand. The likes of Netflix, Showmax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, video on demand. At the moment, I subscribe to Showmax. It's like an African version of Netflix. And they keep renewing and they keep buying content from Sauti Sol still. And what Sauti Sol is doing, like they will record themselves, take you through the process of writing a song, but it's shot well, but they're just them being themselves, them taking you through a process of creating a song, them taking you through a process of getting ready for a performance, and then pulling off this performance, and then they are telling you, yeah, by the way, when we're performing, I kind of broke my leg, but then I had to go on. And people are watching this content. People are actually buying this content. They are paying for this content. When you come back down and you look at us in Uganda, it's like we've we've not been experimental enough.
But I'm not really going to go and levy a barrage of criticism on our artists, because simply government has also not done anything for these artists. They've done little to actually alleviate their suffering. Do you have artists who have been under a lockdown for a year and counting, and then what do you do? What do you do? Because we give them the recommendation that they have to use the internet. What does government do? They levy a 12% internet on the internet bundles, 12% tax on internet bundles.
But I'll tell you that I do not know a country where the government actually understands the art industry. Like, I do not know a single country. Like, in Nigeria, the government did not understand what the film industry was about. And the film industry kind of just mushroomed, and they found ways of working with them. Like, yes, you guys are here, let's see how we work, let's see how we can support you. Now, most of the times, I think we do not have a lot of artists that can start conversations, and they are starting these conversations for the benefit of the industry. Like, trust me, I've seen many artists try to start conversations with the government, and most of these times, these conversations have been started for personal gains, I could say. You see artists meeting, say, General Salim Saleh, and it's completely for personal gains. And
this is how I thought government, we are going for a break, but this is how I thought government would help artists in this regard. I thought government would actually involve artists in the spread of information against COVID-19. I thought government would use them to help them disseminate this information. I thought government would use the artists.
Doesn't reason like that.
Why?
Because you're dealing with a government that represented the entire industry as entertainment in their manifesto. So it's up to the artists to actually pitch themselves in that way.
Sandra Ssuubi is here. Andrew Kaggwa, yes, we started the conversation with him, so I should just throw this ball to Sandra Ssuubi and get a few insights from you on how best artists can survive. Very good morning. Good to see you.
It's very nice to be here again.
I missed you so much.
I know.
The show
Maybe,
missed
you.
you.
Since we're talking about like alternatives, guys, the thing is the talent hasn't gone.
All right.
The music is still happening. So the TV stations should host us more.
Indeed.
And just maybe find some interesting segments where artists can like showcase some really interesting like things that we do. Because I think, I mean, we can talk like behind the talent.
Every Friday, my producers are working on that. Every Friday, we are bringing back DJ Sowe B. Yes, we bring back DJ Sowe B. We bring back an artist who will come and do some live concert here, maybe for 15 minutes, and then we move on. So
also, like the artists doing
giving
set
back.
design, the artists doing like, I mean, we can have like, I'm doing voice classes now. And that's like a whole thing.
So
like
you
we
could
can literally learn some voice here.
You could come with some of those people you are training, and they showcase to us
Or
what they've
like
learned.
I could come and train the audience. I mean, everyone. I mean, you're home, so you might as well start. There are new skills. People are learning new things.
So meaning no option should be left unturned or unexplored. Indeed. So go ahead. Alternative ways through which artists can survive.
I mean, I think about this and keep saying, many times when the way in which in Africa and Uganda, and as also a visual artist, a lot of the ideas we come like that we have come from just a lot of like holdbacks or blockages. It's like a river, and because that's not working, you almost find an alternative. So I make art out of plastic bottles. And that really came from the fact that art school was really tough, man, and very expensive. You're out buying cement, you're buying clay, you're like looking for every single material. You need metal to weld. So I was like, man, what do we have around us? And then discovered after one event, which I actually had performed at, that the Makerere field had tons. It was like a sea of plastic.
I see.
And so for me, it was a moment of, oh, that could be material. And then just learning about its effect on climate. And I think many times we sort of get into these spaces that are alternative ways of thinking or working without intending, and then learn that actually it is the same story for so many other people. And that people actually relate to this because then, for example, if I make something out of a plastic bottle, that's the first point of, you know, it just, we are right now doing a festival called the Clyde Festival, which is taking art out of, you know, galleries into public spaces. And already the publicness of something becomes political. But when you use some of these things that we call mundane that are thrown away, so it's like, hey, ako kachupa. Oh, That's very interesting. So what were you trying to say? So
Yeah.
you know? And so anyone has access to these things. And I think right now, as creatives, you know, because I think in general musicians are creatives.
Indeed.
We are doing things, we are being, and the fact that we are here means certain things are happening.
Yeah.
It feels very like a very like utopia way of speaking.
Mars or something.
But I really think we don't stop being because someone has put some blockage on being.
Indeed.
I think we just start to be in another way. So that's my first generic take on that.
And so what you're trying to say, even though government has made it impossible for you to operate with this lengthened 1 year and counting
generally,
lockdown,
it's not government.
and the pandemic itself.
Let's start with it.
Yes.
It's not government's fault. I mean, there are governments who are looking at that we thought had answers, and they too are like coming, like, what do we do, guys? This thing, we didn't plan for it.
Yes,
what are we going to do, you know? Like, governments are crumbling, yeah? And so, I do not know. I sometimes wonder to myself if we should start there or we should start on the person, because the government serves the person.
Yeah.
And so the person has the voice and the person is being. And so in that being, I think we start to define how we will be. And the government then runs with that.
But it seems like some artists or creatives have stagnated and they felt like, okay, maybe we should just wait this one out. I'm just going to sit this one out on my couch in my house and just wait. Maybe for a year or two, this government will reopen. And now here you are. The government is saying there's an uptick in cases. We are calling for another lockdown.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at these artists. They are distressed. What do they do now?
Well, I will think through some of the things that I've seen artists doing, and myself. I think, first of all, I don't know, you tell me, but the music that's being released this year is really good music.
Because it comes from the soul.
My gosh!
You're in solitary confinement.
And that music,
you're with
you know,
no one, so you're
that
creating
makes
great music.
money for you for years. Maybe it doesn't look like it's making money now, but it will live on, man. We're still listening to Afrigo now, guys. Like,
but
it's
you
like
see-
it's like passive income that never stops. Of course, now, yes, we need to survive. But one of the things that I have, you know, there was a point when I was in that space, especially last year, I was just like, what are we going to do? Man, what are we? There's even no way sometimes to get to studio. I love that certain artists have now built studios in there.
Yeah.
People have learned how to produce music for their own selves. Like, collectives are starting up. And then also they're looking beyond the market here,
Indeed.
you know? And so I think there are certain opportunities. There are bad things, are many, that is true. But it's like, if we choose to look, I always say, if we look at the problem and say, people are doing more online conversations. They're speaking to their fans. I remember recently I saw one of the artists on like literally doing a Facebook Live in the studio and creating the song. Say, should we remove that? Should we put that back?
That
Like,
was
the internet has also like
Yeah.
just come into like these very interesting ways of interaction. And I think, in a way, you know, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
So I'm a Christian. Judas Iscariot looked like he caused the biggest problem, but he actually gave Jesus the biggest opportunity.
Talk to me.
Because he died on the cross and we still live on that. Our lives were like, we're still, the thing that looked like the worst thing also became the biggest opportunity. So as a visual artist and musician, for me, I also work with other creatives, and one of my roles is really to speak to the community, to work with them. And last year was hard. It is still hard. There are artists who have quit. They've quit making art. It's like, what am I going to get from this thing? No one is hiring, no one is, you know, and I'm just thinking, it is tough. It is very tough, but there's also an opportunity in there, you know? There's an opportunity because more people now care more. And they care
About
more.
others.
About others. That's one, you know, because people thrive in community, I think creatives have also come out of their bubbles. We usually work in our studio, in our, you know, like in our own particular spaces, and now...
You keep it to yourself until you listen.
Now you're having very bold conversations like, dude, did you eat yesterday, man? You know, and that just like that before you even start conversations of you know what, man, things are hard. I remember we work with an organization called 32 Degrees East, which is actually building Uganda's first purpose-built art center as we speak. And in this time when you'd think, I remember people just saying, we used, you know, you give money for people to make artwork. And then now we were just like, we're giving money for like survival. Like, do you need money to eat? Do you know friends who don't have income? And that was just really helpful. So I think it has gone back to the necessities of life, because I think creativity thrives from, and that's why I say a lot of the music, I for a while had not released new music, and this year there's a whole album and another album coming. Like there's so much music, and I also can't speak to a wider audience, because what do I need? My phone?
Yeah.
I mean, let's not get into OTT and what the government is doing with that. But I think it is, you know, like as we're saying, understanding what is the entertainment industry. It's not one big bubble. There's the entertainment industry in the world. There's the entertainment industry in Uganda. Yeah. Those are two different things, yeah? And so if you are serving the people, then understand, because if you don't work from a place of understanding, then what are you doing?
You see, me, I was using this argument with Andrew Kaggwa. The government should have used artists in their campaign in raising awareness about COVID-19, number one. They could have used artists in their campaign to raise awareness or about the COVID-19 vaccination, so that people can embrace them. But now you're ending up with vaccine hesitancy simply because they did not do it. You're ending up with COVID-19 cases rising because people are not wearing face masks, and there's complacency.
But is it,
artists
it's never
would not be
too late.
crying
They
about
could
money.
do so
They would have
now.
been the mouthpieces of the government on the ground, because they have the direct
I
interaction
have also
with the
seen
people.
artists who have just decided to do so, and it's not dependent on government.
Yeah, but
Because- yeah.
actually, as she's saying that some artists have decided to do so, it goes back to something I usually say, that the government cannot come out to ask artists, because I still believe the government is just learning about this industry. And the
Which
government...
is also always constantly morphing.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
usually changing.
Yeah.
And like I told you, I was checking out the manifesto, and this industry wasn't really considered as an industry. It was talked about as entertainment.
Right.
And what they said is, there is peace, people can go out. Like the whole fact of
Can go out and party.
the whole fact of this being an economy which is actually employing millions of people was just thrown under the bus, like when they were saying that, because it was just entertainment, we go out and party. So actually this whole industry was written about in the context of the consumer, not the person that's creating the art. So the people that are thinking about the industry like that cannot think this industry can actually propel people to take the vaccine. That's why I say this is where artists come in to actually do their own lobbying, to do their own pitching. The only problem is that every person that decides to go and pitch kind of pitches himself and not the industry.
So they're selling their image, like, I'm doing this on a philanthropic basis. You get the point. Yeah, giving back to the community.
Not even.
To me, the main point was that if government involves them, there's going to be some kind of pay.
But
like the same way
someone must
institutes a team of advisors in science, they could also institute a team of non-scientists, the teachers, psychologists, music artists, who are going to be convincing people to take on these COVID-19 jabs, convincing people to social distance, so they'll be paid as artists.
You're right, but someone must pitch it. Because
we've pitched it here. They should take it up.
Yeah, that's a very good
Kaggwa,
statement.
go ahead.
Yeah, please pitch it.
Okay, yes, the government needs to understand that art is the way of life. Like, people will listen to a speech and they will not pick out many things. Or if you're lucky, they'll pick out the funny things that don't build them. But then they will not pick the key things that will build them. When an artist sings, for some reason, people will pick all the message. They'll pick everything he says because it's a song. And unlike a speech, they will listen to a song again and again. Then children will start singing to this song, and they are consuming this message without actually knowing they are consuming the message. So, yeah, we can pitch to the government, those people that are watching us.
We have to use the language pitch. But yes, go ahead.
we are pitching. If people are not taking the vaccine, you can actually use artists. People listen to artists more than they listen to you. And there is a person out there who will trust a vaccine because they've seen Eddie Kenzo take it more than they will trust a minister taking it.
And you're absolutely right.
And not just take it, like really talk about it and speak about it from his perspective. And not as a, I guess it just feels very like business minded. But you know, people's lives are at stake, you know? People's lives are at stake. Look at what's happening in India. Like, people's lives are at stake. And
but then you come to Uganda and someone will say COVID-19 is a hoax. Wrong, please don't even talk about COVID-19.
Like, how is that possible? And that's the first, that's the first checkmate, you know? And I do not know how this is not visible to everyone else. Or maybe it is, and there are certain systems we need to go through.
But you see, it's a very funny thing that, okay, at times I think some things should be obvious. It should be obvious for someone to actually notice art is powerful. Do you know one of the, like they told us COVID is here, they told us it's dangerous and everything. But you know, one of the tools that spread the message of COVID more than, it wasn't even about COVID, it was a film. I've forgotten the title of the film, but it was an old film which had a pandemic that kind of looked like COVID.
Yeah.
And like the film had not sold when it came out originally, I think in 2012 or something.
Right.
And then people started looking at the similarities between the 2012 film and whatever was happening. People went and started watching the movie, and it's like this movie became gospel truth of what they're supposed to do. They washed hands, they did. So like when you look at that happening in 2020 and in 2021, you cannot even see that art is this powerful. Or like, I still remember how many people could remember the number you could call to get COVID help, because Bebeko sang about it in the very, it's like the intro of that COVID song he did, is it Zero Monana something. And people kind of remembered that now, like could even joke about it, man. The guy read the whole number, like Zero Monana, and and just like that, you know the number. So it's surprising. For me, it's surprising that someone right now doesn't see.
And they
need to use that.
Sandra Ssuubi, where do you see the arts industry in case the pandemic is prolonged and also the lockdown?
Ah, wow, can I say? I mean, a lot has happened. Like we had forecasts, and then we were hit by last year, and then those forecasts have become like
judo style.
We kind of maintained them. We were like, yeah, September we shall be fine.
We shall be, you know, because we're like, my friend, we are in what month? The year is literally midway. 2021 is So I think artists, as I mentioned before, the creatives will keep being, like, people are still making great music, people are still making great art, I think festivals are happening. We've found new ways. Exhibitions are going online. Music is amazing. It's online. Right now, we as artists have really embraced streaming platforms. Guys, if you're not streaming at Uganda, I was passing by somewhere yesterday in Gayaza, and some guy was streaming, like playing loud music, and I was like, why is this song playing here? What, like, there's so much good music available by Ugandan artists. So guys, like many times we say, what do we forecast? The forecast is us. It's our actions, So as artists, we keep making the best stuff that we can, Very good music, very good art.
All right.
Packaged well, and
thank you very
share
much
it with the audience.
Thank you very much, Sandra Ssuubi, a very talented musician. Also, Andrew Kaggwa, Class and Culture journalist with the Daily Monitor. Both of you, thank you very much for having come through to talk to us. It is one thing to have gold in the earth, but how many people can dig and get that gold? The gold is the internet. How many people can access this internet? Has the government put in place tools through which people can be able to extract this gold, which is the internet? The $64,000 question. My name is Romy Bisiku.